Your life is a reflection of your daily habits. Change them, and you change everything. That's not a quote to be inspired by. That's a fact you live with every day, whether you realize it or not. The life you're living right now, the momentum, the discipline, the regrets, the clarity, the mess, it's all a mirror of the habits you repeat. Especially the first one, how you wake up. When the alarm goes off and you hit snooze, it's not just 5 more minutes of rest. It's 5 more minutes of delay. 5 more minutes of telling yourself that your comfort matters more than your commitment. And if that's the story you tell your body every morning, guess what? It becomes your story everywhere else. At work, in your relationships, in the quiet moments where your dreams either move or stay stagnant. Let's get brutally honest. Success doesn't start with a big idea or a motivational quote. It starts in your bedroom, in the dark, before the sun rises, when no one's watching and there's no applause. It starts when you get up when you said you would. No excuses. No deals with the snooze button. Just movement. Just action. Just discipline. Most people want a better life, but negotiate with themselves the first moment they wake up. They roll over and promise to start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. What comes is another day lived on delay, another morning lost to hesitation. And here's the truth, the kind no one can give you and no one can take from you. You think energy is about getting more sleep. Think again. Energy is built through momentum, through decisions that spark movement. When you wake up and immediately stand tall, breathe deep, stretch, hydrate, and begin, your brain kicks into gear. Your body starts to obey your will instead of your weakness. You don't just feel alive, you feel ahead. Most people start their day behind. Why? Because they gave it away before it even began. They scrolled. They snoozed. They drifted. But you're going to train differently. Start by setting your alarm for a time that stretches you just a bit. Not 5 a.m. if you're used to 8 c.m., but earlier than comfort. Then put your phone across the room so you're forced to move. When it rings, don't think. Thinking is the enemy. Thinking gives your excuses a microphone. Move first, think later. Action builds belief. Delay builds regret. And don't just get up and stare blankly. Do something, anything, that signals ownership. Drink water, make your bed, open the window and let the world in. These aren't chores, they're rituals. They tell your subconscious, I show up when I say I will. That's identity. That's power. This is why so many people stay stuck. Not because they lack talent or goals, but because they can't win the first battle of the day. They lose in the first 5 minutes. And if you lose the first 5, you'll spend the next 23 hours trying to catch up. You can change everything about your life. But the price of that change is simple. Get up. Show up. Without being told. Without needing motivation. Just because you said you would. There's a reason militaries, athletes, CEOs, and creators all build strict morning routines. Not because they're obsessed with discipline, but because they know it works. It rewires the mind. It commands the body. It shapes your focus before the world hijacks it. So tomorrow morning, before the noise of the world kicks in, before emails, deadlines, and distractions, do this. Take the first win. Don't snooze. Don't scroll. Stand up, stretch, breathe, and remind yourself that you are in charge now, because that's what this is really about. Control. Not control over others, control over yourself. over your reactions, your energy, your decisions. You reclaim that control by mastering the moment when the alarm goes off. It's small, but it's everything. And I know, some mornings will be harder than others. You'll feel tired, foggy, even defeated. But here's what separates the people who keep growing from the ones who stay stuck. They move anyway. They don't wait to feel like it. They don't need perfect energy. They don't need the weather to be right or the schedule to be open. They just go. Because going reinforces identity, and identity fuels everything. You want to be someone who follows through? Then act like it when no one's watching. Start when it's hardest. Rise when it's easiest to fall back. Keep that promise to yourself every morning, and you won't just build better mornings. You'll build a better life. You're not fighting the clock. You're not fighting sleep. You're fighting the old version of yourself that keeps asking for comfort over growth. Kill that version every day before the sun comes up. That's how winners think. That's how real transformation begins. So tell me, right now, what time are you waking up tomorrow? Set the alarm. Put the phone down. Make the decision now. Because when morning comes, there is no more thinking, only action. Now, if you're ready to win your mornings, let's talk about the next place people fall short: starting and never finishing. We're going to fix that next. You said you'd do it. Then you didn't. And the truth is, it mattered. It mattered more than you realize. Because every time you start something and leave it hanging, unfinished, half-built, half-hearted, you're training yourself to believe that your words don't carry weight, that your commitment is flexible, that your effort has a back door. And that's the fastest way to destroy discipline from the inside out. Successful people, they finish. Not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because that's who they've trained themselves to be. They follow through. Even when motivation is dead, even when energy is low, even when no one is watching or rewarding them for staying in the fight. Finishing isn't about perfection. It's about proving to yourself that your word means something. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't back out just because it got uncomfortable or inconvenient. Let's call it what it is. Most people are in love with starting. They love the spark, the idea, the rush of possibility. But the middle, the boring part, the resistance, that's where they fall apart. They say they're waiting for the right time. They say life got in the way. They say they'll get back to it. But what they're really doing is practicing inconsistency. And inconsistency is a habit too, a destructive one. If you want to break that loop, here's the rule. Finish what you start, especially when you don't feel like it. Because that's where your real strength gets built. Not in the first page, but in the final one. Not in the first rep, but in the last 10 when your body wants to quit. You see, when you complete something, even something small, you gain something money can't buy. Self-respect. You get to look yourself in the mirror and know you didn't fold. You didn't vanish. You didn't excuse your way out. You showed up. You stayed in, and you saw it through. That creates personal gravity. People can feel it. You can feel it. Let's break this down into truth. You don't need more inspiration. You need more follow-through. You don't need a new routine. You need to stick with the one you already built. You don't need another 90-day challenge. You need to stop quitting on day 5. Because every time you stop early, your brain files it away. I start fast, but fade. I can't be trusted to follow through. I only move when I feel good. That is the root of self-sabotage. And it leaks into everything. Your career, your relationships, your health, your mindset. So what's the fix? Simple. Choose one thing today, something you've been putting off, and finish it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't have to be glamorous. Just finish it. Send the email. Clean the drawer. Submit the draft. Have the tough conversation. Every time you finish, you're repairing the inner structure that holds your life together. You're sending a message to your mind. I'm the kind of person who finishes. I don't need external praise to stay in motion. I move because I said I would, and that belief becomes a force. It spills into the next thing you do. Suddenly, you're more focused, more grounded, less reactive, more dangerous in the best way. That's why successful people often seem calm under pressure. It's not magic, it's earned. They've built inner confidence through thousands of small completions, thousands of quiet, I said I'd do this, and I did. Now listen, some days you will not want to finish. The task will feel heavy. Your mind will wander. Your excuses will rise. But that's the test. Finishing when it's easy means nothing. Finishing when your mood is gone, when no one is pushing you, when your body is tired. That's where the real power gets developed. And here's the bonus. The more you finish, the less you fear starting again. Why? Because you trust yourself now. You've proven that you don't just chase a high. You build a standard. So the next time you want to abandon something halfway, ask yourself, if I quit this, what am I teaching myself? Because you are always teaching yourself something. Choose the lesson carefully. Let's also be clear. Finishing doesn't mean perfection. Finishing means you gave your best effort until the task was done. It means you didn't walk away when it got boring or hard or unglamorous. It means you followed through, not for praise, but for principle. And that principle, that discipline, it becomes a reputation. People begin to trust you. More importantly, you begin to trust you. And that trust? It's the foundation for real growth. It's the invisible edge that separates wishers from winners. You don't need to be the best. You don't need the most talent. But you do need this habit. You do need to finish what you start. That's the shift that turns potential into progress. That's the mindset that builds businesses, changes bodies, and rewires identities. And you're capable of it. You just need to stop stopping. So here's the action. Choose one thing. Finish it today. And tomorrow, do it again. And again. Until finishing becomes who you are. Because once you become the kind of person who always follows through, there's almost nothing in this world you can't build. Now that you've claimed the power of follow-through, it's time to add structure to your focus. The next section will show you how a simple list, done the right way, can transform scattered energy into unstoppable momentum. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're scattered. They don't start the day with purpose. They start it by reacting to messages, to problems, to distractions. By the time noon hits, they've been busy, but they haven't made real progress. They feel drained, but they haven't moved the needle. Here's the truth. Productivity isn't about doing more. It's about knowing what matters and doing it first. And the simplest, most powerful way to do that is to create a short, clear list every single morning. Not in your head, not on a random app you'll forget to open. Pen, paper, in front of your face. This isn't just organization, it's mental armor. It protects your mind from drifting. It keeps your decisions clear when stress tries to scatter you. And most importantly, it forces you to make choices ahead of time. so you don't rely on mood to get things done. You see, your brain loves avoiding decisions. It loves wandering, scrolling, switching tabs, starting 5 things and finishing none. But when you wake up and see a focused list of priorities, that clutter starts to fade. Because now you're not asking, "What should I do today?" You're saying, "This is what I do." Period. Let's be specific. Take 5 minutes, first thing, before the noise, before the demands. Write down 3 to 5 important actions for the day. Not 20, not maybes. The key? Clarity and constraint. Too many people make overwhelming lists. They turn a tool into a trap. If everything matters, nothing does. Your list should reflect what truly moves your life forward, not what's urgent, what's important. What have you been avoiding? What needs to be finished to create momentum? What stretches you even a little? That's what belongs on the page. Then, this part is critical. Once it's written, don't debate with it all day. Don't rewrite it. Don't shuffle it. Trust the clarity you had in the morning. Pick the first task. Start. Most people overthink the order, the process, the timing. And that overthinking? It burns the energy you need to execute. Overthinking is just disguised procrastination. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll wait forever. The cure is action, and that action starts with the list. Not because the paper is magical, but because you are deciding what gets your time before your feelings do. Here's the pattern that leads to results. Write the list. Start with task 1. Don't analyze, just act. Finish before switching. Cross it off. Feel the win. Repeat. That's it. No productivity hack will beat that loop. It's not flashy. It's not sexy. But it works. It beats willpower. It beats multitasking. It beats chaos. Now let's talk about the mindset behind this. Most people are addicted to reacting. They let life punch first, and they spend the day playing defense. But your list? That's offense. That's you setting the tone, the target, and the rhythm. This habit shifts your identity from scattered to steady, from "I hope I get things done today" to "I execute what matters, no matter how I feel." And let's get one thing straight. This isn't about checking boxes. It's about developing consistency. Because when you show up every day and knock out key actions without needing to feel perfect, you stop being a passenger in your own life. You start leading it. Here's another benefit. Each task you cross off gives your brain a shot of progress. You start to believe again, not because someone motivated you, but because you created proof. Progress creates confidence, and confidence fuels more action. Now, there will be days, remember, success isn't built from single perfect days. It's built from stacked, consistent days. And your list? That's the blueprint. That's your compass in the storm. Here's a tip. Don't open social media before you write your list. Don't check emails. Don't scroll. Sit with your own goals first. Decide what matters, then begin. Why? Because if you don't claim your attention, something else will. Every time. And once the world gets your mind, you'll spend the rest of the day trying to reclaim it. This habit is simple, but don't mistake simple for weak. Simple wins. Every time. So tomorrow morning, before anything else, write your list. Keep it clear. Keep it short. Keep it honest. Then attack it. One task at a time. Not because it's easy, but because the version of you that executes every day, that version builds a focused life. And a focused life is a powerful life. You've now learned how to protect your focus. Next, we'll explore what separates the average from the elite, working while others relax. Let's get one thing straight. If you want an uncommon life, you have to be willing to do uncommon things. And one of the most uncommon things today? Working when the world is relaxing. Not because hustle culture says so, not because you're trying to burn out or prove something, but because you understand something most people ignore. The hours no one sees are the hours that separate you from everyone else. While others sleep in on weekends, you're building. While they binge another show, you're refining your craft. While they talk about goals, you're already deep in execution. You're not missing out. You're moving ahead. Success doesn't reward the comfortable. It rewards the consistent. The quiet worker. The one who doesn't need an audience to stay in motion. The one who's okay being overlooked until they can't be ignored. Most people say they want to succeed, but when it's time to work and no one is watching, they vanish. They wait until they feel inspired. They only give effort when it's convenient. But success doesn't show up for those people. It shows up for the ones who show up, regardless of the circumstances. Let's break this down. There will always be moments where you're tempted to coast. It's late. You're tired. Your friends are relaxing. You've done enough for today. But that's the moment, the exact moment, where winners are forged. The decision to push when rest is easier. The choice to lock in while others unplug. That choice compounds. Not just in results, but in identity. Because now, you're no longer just someone who works hard. You're someone who works when others don't. That's a different level. And it's not about being busy. It's about being intentional. You don't work just to say you worked. You work to build something real, something that frees you from excuses, from dependence, from regret. Let's be honest. Most people live for the weekend. They spend Monday through Friday waiting for Friday night, then waste Saturday and Sunday in recovery or distraction. You're not going to live like that. You're going to reclaim those hours. Not all of them, not every second, but enough to gain ground while others stand still. That doesn't mean you never rest. It means you earn your rest. You schedule rest as a reward, not as a default. You use your evenings to grow, your mornings to build, your weekends to sharpen. Even just an hour a day puts you ahead of 90% of people who waste theirs. And no, you won't always feel like it. Yes, it will feel lonely sometimes, but so does the top of the mountain. You want uncommon results? Then trade in common habits. Stop living like everyone else and expecting something different. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is not about being harsh. It's about being free. Because the more disciplined you are now, the more freedom you buy later. You're not sacrificing for no reason. You're investing. You're choosing effort now, so you can choose peace later. You're paying the price now, so you don't have to pay with regret. Look, this isn't about perfection. You don't have to grind every night until 2 a.m. You don't have to give up joy. But you do need to get serious about your time. Ask yourself, what do you do between 7 p.m. and midnight? What do your weekends actually produce? How often do you use "I'm tired" as a shield from growth? Be honest, because the truth is, the gap between where you are and where you want to be is probably built from hours you already have, but aren't using well. And here's the real payoff. When you use these off hours to grow, while others waste them, you create separation. That separation compounds. It becomes skill. It becomes clarity. My discipline matters more than this dopamine. My goals matter more than the crowd. That's the edge. That's the fire. And when you start living like that, the world notices. Not immediately, but eventually, they'll ask you how you pulled ahead. And you'll smile, not because you had some secret, but because you did the work they weren't willing to do. You'll say, I worked when you relaxed. I studied when you scrolled. I stayed in motion while the world paused. And it won't be pride. It'll be truth. Because no one can fake the results of discipline. And remember this. Even if no one claps for you today, even if it feels like no one sees your effort, you're building something that no one can take from you. Self-respect, personal power, momentum that doesn't need external fuel, and that makes you unstoppable. So tonight, while the world gets distracted, you get dialed in. While they wait, you build. While they coast, you rise. That's what separates wishers from winners. And if you're ready for real progress, the next section will give you a shortcut. Don't guess. Study those who already won and copy what works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to stumble through every trial, every error, every frustration. The people who are ahead of you, they've already done it. They've already walked the path. They've failed, learned, and corrected their mistakes. Every shortcut you dream of, they've discovered it. Every strategy you hope to stumble upon, they've tested it. And all you have to do is observe and apply. Here's the thing most people get wrong. They admire winners from afar and then try to do it their own way. They scroll social media, watch videos, nod along, and then go back to their same scattered habits. Admiration is useless without action. Observation is wasted unless paired with application. Start with clarity. Who do you want to become? What field or skill do you want to master? Then, look for someone who has achieved measurable results in that exact area. Not someone who talks about success, not someone who has a flashy presence, but someone whose life demonstrates the outcome you want. Observe everything. Notice how they structure their day. Notice how they manage their energy. Notice how they approach obstacles. Notice how they recover from failure. Pay attention to the habits that keep them consistent, the routines that make progress inevitable. This is the blueprint most people ignore because they want shortcuts that don't exist. And here's a subtle but powerful point. You don't have to copy every aspect of their life. Clothes, words, lifestyle, those are irrelevant. What matters are the patterns, the strategies, and the decisions that actually produce results. The rest is noise. Let's be practical. If you want to improve your productivity, find someone whose output speaks for itself. Watch them in action. Take notes. Don't just passively consume. Actively dissect what makes them effective. Align with your values and goals. Study them intensely. Rewatch, reread, replay. Ask yourself, what would they do right now if they were in my shoes? Then do it. And here's a critical principle. Do not hesitate because you feel inadequate. Copying proven methods isn't weakness, it's intelligence. It saves you time, reduces wasted energy, and accelerates growth. The faster you internalize effective habits, the faster you stack wins. Also, notice the boring parts. Every winner does work that looks unremarkable from the outside. The quiet grind, the repetitive effort, the moments where no one is watching. This is where the advantage lies. Don't shy away from it. Lean into it. Show up even when it isn't exciting. Build structure, track progress, fix what's not working. Those small actions, repeated daily, compound into results that feel miraculous in hindsight. Here's the mindset that accompanies this habit. Focus on what works, not on novelty or validation. The world is filled with distractions, opinions, and the temptation to chase the latest trend. Winners ignore that. They commit to proven methods. They copy the successful framework until it becomes their own. That's the difference between wishing and achieving. Don't wait for inspiration. Don't wait for originality. Originality will come naturally once you've mastered the fundamentals. Start with the fundamentals. Build a foundation by studying, copying, and executing. Let the results speak for themselves. Let your future self emerge from the habits of those who've already been where you want to go. Every action you take that mirrors a proven success pattern strengthens your confidence. You're no longer guessing. You're acting strategically. You're stacking small wins on top of each other, creating a rhythm, a flow, a system that the world can't ignore. Remember, failure is part of the process. Every expert started as a beginner. Every winner made mistakes. What you're doing is learning faster by not repeating their errors unnecessarily. You're leveraging experience without paying the full cost. That's smart. That's intentional. That's how growth accelerates. And once you integrate these lessons into your daily life, you'll notice something powerful. Your decisions feel sharper, your energy feels more aligned, and your confidence starts to compound. You start acting like someone who knows the path, even when the journey is still long. This habit is deceptively simple. Study, copy, execute, refine. But applied consistently, it separates those who talk about success from those who actually achieve it. It's not flashy. It's not glamorous. It's disciplined. It's results-driven. And it works if you do it. By the time you finish building this practice, you'll start seeing clarity in your choices. You'll stop spinning your wheels. You'll know what works. And more importantly, you'll do it. And once you start executing on these proven patterns, the next frontier opens. Mastering your focus even when the work feels dull. Here's the harsh truth most people ignore. The problem isn't always that something is too hard. Often, it's that it's too dull. The work that matters most, building skill, refining craft, creating impact, is rarely exciting every day. It's repetitive, it's monotonous, and it tests whether you're there for the reward or for the mastery. Most people quit not because they can't do the work, but because they can't endure the boredom. They start with enthusiasm, with big plans, with energy, but somewhere in the middle, when the excitement fades, they fade too. They stop showing up. They seek something new, something flashy, something that gives them a hit of novelty. And that's the trap. Because real growth hides behind those dull stretches. That's where champions are made. Discipline isn't a motivational state. It's a behavioral choice. It's choosing to do what needs to be done when it's ordinary, when no one's cheering, when the work is invisible. That's the moment that builds mental resilience, stamina, and real competence. It's when repetition compounds into mastery. Think about any skill you've ever mastered. Walking, talking, typing, driving, reading music, playing an instrument. It all started with repetition. No one became proficient because it was exciting or effortless. They became proficient because they showed up again and again, even when the initial thrill had worn off. That principle applies to your work, your goals, and your life. The boredom itself is a teacher. It's not a signal to stop. It's a signal that you're entering the stretch zone, the place where the brain and body grow. If you can learn to sit with boredom, to persist when your emotions tell you to wander, you create something that the average person never will. A foundation of unshakable consistency. Here's the practice. The next time a task feels dull or repetitive, don't reach for escape. Don't distract yourself. Lean into it. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Use it as an opportunity to strengthen patience, to refine focus, and to build endurance. Every repetition trains your mind to prioritize purpose over pleasure, discipline over instant gratification. And it's not just about mental toughness. It's about identity. Each time you push through boredom, you tell yourself, "I am the kind of person who persists." That self-concept is more powerful than any motivation because it becomes automatic. It defines how you show up before motivation even arrives. Most people chase excitement, looking for energy and inspiration as triggers for action. But that's a trap. When you rely on emotional highs, your results will be inconsistent. Real winners know that consistent, dull, ordinary work executed over time produces exponential outcomes. The excitement comes later, when the results of patience, repetition, and discipline finally compound. Now, consider this. Every time you abandon a task because it's boring, you're teaching your brain to prioritize comfort. Every time you persist, you're teaching your brain to seek growth. That's why tolerance for boredom is one of the most underrated predictors of success. Here's how to start building it. Set up a small but consistent practice, a project or task you can commit to daily. Notice when you feel the urge to quit. Pause. Acknowledge the discomfort. Then continue. Over time, the discomfort becomes familiar. The resistance becomes manageable, and you discover a level of focus few people experience. This habit doesn't produce instant gratification, but it produces longevity, depth, and excellence. The people who rise to the top are not the ones who always feel motivated. They are the ones who keep showing up when no one is watching, when it's slow, when it's unglamorous. Remember, mastery is built in silence. Excellence is forged in repetition. Boredom is the gateway to breakthrough, not the barrier. The next time you feel uninspired, remind yourself, the work you do in these quiet stretches compounds far beyond the visible rewards today. Push through. Stay locked in. Keep the target in mind. That is the mindset of the relentless, the disciplined, the unstoppable. And when you internalize this, nothing in your journey will intimidate you. Because you will have trained your mind to succeed, even when life feels ordinary. Next, we'll tackle another foundational habit: creating a clean, organized environment before starting any meaningful work, so your focus and energy align with your goals. Every day leaves a trail. Every interaction, every choice, every word, every action is a mark, an imprint of who you are right now. Most people ignore these traces. They move from one day to the next without reflection, thinking growth is automatic, thinking improvement is accidental. But the truth is, growth is deliberate. It comes from noticing where you fell short, where you were distracted, where you let your impulses dictate your actions, and then deciding to do better tomorrow. Reflection isn't about judgment. It isn't about shame. It's about truth. It's about taking an honest snapshot of yourself at the end of the day. Ask yourself, where was I disciplined? Where did I follow through? Where did I let laziness, distraction, or emotion win? Did I honor my priorities or get pulled off track? Did I act in alignment with the person I want to be? Or did I compromise because it was easier? Then, and this is crucial, you correct. Don't just note the mistakes, take ownership. If you snapped at someone today, decide to act with patience tomorrow. If you procrastinated on an important task, plan to tackle it first thing next time. If you let distractions steal your focus, adjust your environment so that you can stay on point. One correction per day is enough. One intentional adjustment compounds over weeks and months into real transformation. This habit is deceptively simple, but its effects are profound. It trains your brain to see feedback as opportunity, not failure. It rewires your identity around accountability, self-respect, and personal responsibility. Each night you reflect and correct. You reinforce the mindset that you are the guardian of your own life, that no one else is responsible for your growth, and that excellence is earned, not given. Moreover, this daily loop keeps your standards high. It prevents small lapses from accumulating unnoticed into habits of mediocrity. By facing the truth every day, you prevent the erosion of discipline that quietly destroys potential. This is how successful people maintain momentum. They track their behaviors, adjust, and repeat day after day, regardless of external recognition or reward. There's also a psychological edge here. When you consistently review your performance, you gain clarity on patterns. What triggers distraction? What circumstances lead to poor decisions? What strategies reliably produce results? This awareness lets you anticipate challenges, make smarter choices, and operate with intentionality rather than reaction. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You become the architect of your life. Consistency in reflection and correction also cultivates resilience. Life will throw unexpected challenges, delays, and frustrations. The person who has practiced observing, assessing, and adjusting daily is prepared to respond strategically instead of reacting emotionally. That discipline, repeated over time, develops an inner stability that others often lack, giving you a competitive advantage in every area of life. Finally, the act of reflecting and correcting daily builds confidence. Not the shallow kind that depends on praise or results, but deep, unshakable self-confidence. You know you are improving, that you are actively shaping the person you want to become, that your life is moving in the direction you choose. That internal proof is more powerful than any external validation. End each day with this habit. Take 5 minutes to pause, to breathe, to honestly assess. Choose one thing to correct. Implement it tomorrow. Repeat relentlessly. Over time, you'll notice a cleaner mind, sharper focus, steadier decisions, and a life increasingly aligned with your goals. The person you see in the mirror each morning will gradually become the one you've consciously built through this practice. And when this becomes second nature, it doesn't just improve your performance, it transforms your identity. You are no longer someone who drifts. You are someone who learns, adapts, and elevates every single day. That is the culmination of all habits. Wake intentionally, follow through, plan clearly. Work while others rest. Model success. Push through boredom. Maintain a clean environment. Ask strong questions. Choose the right circle, and reflect nightly. Each habit reinforces the others, creating a self-sustaining system of growth. Now that you understand the power of daily reflection and correction, it's time to integrate all 10 habits into a seamless rhythm. One that guides your actions, sharpens your mindset, and sets the foundation for sustained, meaningful success. The path is clear. Identify, act, observe, adjust, repeat, and watch as small, disciplined actions compound into extraordinary outcomes. Success is rarely a single event. It's not a dramatic breakthrough, a lightning bolt of inspiration, or a moment the world will see. Real success is built quietly, steadily, one disciplined choice at a time. It is the culmination of repeated, intentional habits, each day shaping your identity, your capabilities, and your future. The 10 habits we've explored are not theoretical concepts. They are the distilled patterns of people who consistently achieve results, the routines that transform ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. And the beauty of these habits is that they are accessible. They don't require special talent, perfect conditions, or external validation. They only require commitment to yourself. Start with your mornings. Own the first moments of your day. The alarm is more than a sound. It's a test. By rising immediately, resisting the lure of comfort, and stepping into motion, you send a message to yourself. Your word matters, your actions matter, and you can be trusted to follow through. From that first victory, momentum begins, and the discipline to tackle more complex challenges grows naturally. Finish what you start. In a world where distractions are endless and consistency is rare, following through becomes a defining trait. Each completed task, no matter how small, reinforces your identity as someone dependable, someone capable, someone who honors their commitments. By contrast, quitting trains weakness, erodes confidence, and teaches your mind that delay is acceptable. Success is the accumulation of completed actions, day after day, without exception. Plan deliberately. Make a concise, actionable list that prioritizes what truly matters. Clear structure beats chaotic busyness. Taking control of your focus before the world can hijack it is the difference between scattered effort and meaningful progress. The list is more than a tool. It's a compass, a daily map guiding you toward your goals with clarity and precision. Work when others relax. Use quiet hours to create an edge. It's in these unseen moments that winners distinguish themselves from the masses. This isn't about punishment. It's about claiming time that others waste and using it to build skill, knowledge, and momentum. It's about doing what is necessary, even when it's inconvenient, and consistently stepping into growth while others coast. Study those who have already succeeded. Copy what works. Observing and modeling proven systems accelerates your journey, reduces wasted effort, and instills confidence that your methods are grounded in reality. Combine this with pushing through boredom, maintaining an organized space, asking better questions, choosing the right circle, and reflecting daily, and you establish a self-reinforcing cycle of improvement. Each habit reinforces the others. Waking with intention strengthens follow-through. Follow-through amplifies the impact of focused planning. Planning enables disciplined action during unmotivated moments. Observation and modeling accelerate learning. Reflection solidifies progress. Together, they form a network of habits that continuously elevate your performance and character. Ultimately, success is a byproduct of identity, not luck or fleeting motivation. By consistently implementing these 10 habits, you become the type of person who acts with discipline, thinks strategically, and responds effectively under pressure. You build a life defined by control, growth, and self-respect. A life that requires no excuses and no shortcuts. The choices you make daily shape your trajectory. Start now, act deliberately, and commit to these habits relentlessly. Your future self is counting on it.